Hey, this is Brian Nettles. Another time where I'm starting on one of my first evers. And if you look here, you can see this is a bunch of boot leather that I cut up with a pair of scissors. And I wrapped it in some masking tape, okay? I'm fixing to put some epoxy on this leather. And then let it set overnight in a vise. And tomorrow I'm going to start my first stacked leather handle knife. Now, after a while, I haven't done this yet, but this is probably one of my, in my teens for my videos of making knives. This is the first one that I've considered talking about putting on YouTube. So you'll see this one probably before you see the others, and I'll have them all on a channel at some point, and you'll get to see the progression of me making knives. And in this little video that I'm making right now will make a lot more sense because I've done everything on my own knowledge and my own will, and all of my knives are pretty cool. So YouTubers, check it out. We're getting started. First, I need to pull that out of there. Make sure I got a clean surface for my epoxy, so I don't get a bunch of bullshit in the handle. Excuse my language. This is a clear resin. You can buy this at your local Ace hardware store. Comes in a set with the clear and the hardener. You mix them about even if you want it to come out consistent and harden, and it takes a couple of days for it to cure. It does not happen in a couple of hours. This is not a couple of minute epoxy. This one takes days, but it is kitchen safe and like FDA approved. So if you're going to use it in the kitchen or anything of that, you ever handle any meats with it, like skinning or anything, then this is a perfect epoxy for you. So you can make your handles food safe. Make sure you mix it up real good and apply it generously, because it's gonna fucking excuse my language again, it's going to drip off of anything you put it on. It's gonna run, but it's gonna be thicker than applying 6 or 7 coats of poly. So one coat of this is equal to probably 7 coats of poly. It looks really good on a finished product. I have some handles right here that I can show you if I remember what I've done with them. Hold on, here we go. Let me show you some of the handles we've already done. This one, you see the grain is really deep and very, very prominent. Like, it does no justice on this camera. And it's funny I say that because the actual name of this blade right here is Justice. And it's a one of a kind, my signature piece. It is my baby. But we were talking about the handles. So there's some of that grain and how thick this stuff comes out. You can see on this. This is a hatchet that I'm working on right now. One of a kind, only one like it. The entire edge of the blade is sharp all the way around, so that it's a throwing hatchet, so that if it hits in any way, shape, or form on that blade end, it's going to stick no matter what. So I named it Nowhere, because you got nowhere to go once you throw this bad boy. And you can see that epoxy also, how thick and pretty it is on the handles. That's one coat. This one I call Gucci. And this one here is an extension of me. When I throw this blade, it does not matter where I throw it. It is going where I told it to. This is a guarantee. Bad dude right here. And I'm going to call this one Country Boy. And it's got that front surface area sharp. It's got everything you need to survive. This saw blade will cut through metal. It is badass. Okay. And here's the handle on it. I have some red and blues in the handle to set it and accent it, and also make the grain look pretty cool. It's very unique. The handle is definitely one of a kind, and is very beautifully balanced also. This one's called, I don't know yet. If you got a beer bottle though, it'll open it like a champ. So yeah, it's probably like a drunk man Skinner. Anyway, that's a piece of cow jawbone, and I hollowed them out, fit the tang inside the knife, and then I filled the knife with JB Weld liquid metal. Okay, it's just so all you other people that have ideas can have some little things that'll help you get along the way. So the JB Weld will hold it inside the bone and also make the bone solid so it doesn't break. Your handles will be G if you do this, okay? Hollow the bone, fit the tang inside, fill the inside space of the bone with JB Weld, all right? Put your tang in it, let it set until it's good and hard, and you got a fucking rock hard handle, dude. So now I'm gonna sit my ass back down with my little dirty plate that I do this on. It's pretty gnarly, but a little board vise, a little board clamp, okay, to squeeze it once I'm ready. So get it close to clamp readiness. All right, and then I'm going to take my epoxy, which I've mixed in a hotel room. We're making this knife in a hotel room, by the way. And then I'm going to pour some down into this mold that I have. Okay, and then I'm only going to pour about half of it in there because I need the other half once I flip it. Alright, so I'm going to let that stuff sit. It might stick over there, I don't want it to. Alright, and then I'm going to work this leather inside my little masking tape vise, basically. I'm using it, and I'm going to let that stuff kind of get down in there, in between the leathers and whatnot. Okay, so we all see what's going on there. I'm working this gradually, dividing each piece a little bit, you know, to let the resin seep down in there and give it a full coat across the leather. And guys, I'm not even going to kid you, okay? My family is struggling, and I have many talents that aren't being used or utilized. So I'm trying to maybe start my own YouTube channel in hopes of selling my knives and supporting my family. So you're getting some of this documentary footage, you know, some of the first evers and stuff like that. I have some footage on this same phone that I'm doing this video from that I'm going to be putting on as well. And it's all under my business name that will be coming soon. And it's called Killer Instinct Customs. Okay? So you can check me out on Facebook. I don't have a whole lot of stuff on there yet because I'm not very computer savvy. I'm a hands-on guy. You know, I like to build stuff. So that being said, guys, it looks like I got some resin through all the way to the other side. So now I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to pour the epoxy again on this side to follow up full coverage of the leathers. Now, one thing about this epoxy, it's not like gel glue. Like super glue gel is perfect for binding leather to sheaths and stuff like that without really changing the color of the leather. This epoxy, however, is very strong, very potent stuff, and it will seep through your leather and darken it, which I'll show you in just a second on a sheath that is going to be the second part of this knife, because it all came from one boot, and it happens to be a boot that my little pit bull puppy chews on. And one night I just sat there and I took her boot away. She's mad at me for that, I'm sure, but I took her boot away, and we're going to have a stack leather with a leather sheath combo from one boot. And this is the first time I've took some me time because my wife had to go to a funeral. Unfortunately, that is the reason why I'm alone and doing this, and you don't see my beautiful wife running around talking smack. Oh, dude, this stuff is getting coated very well. It's actually coming together quite nicely. This stuff is all over my fingers, dude, so I'm going to bounce to my restroom and clean up my hands a little and let this stuff soak for a minute. Okay, so there it is. It's on the plate. You saw me kind of go through the motions of making it. I did not show you the stacking or cutting process because I already had it this far. So, but if you could and you have an imagination, you can imagine me sitting there and cutting each little square strip, okay, and getting them about the same size, stacking them. There's probably, I don't know, we could count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's about 30 pieces of leather right here, okay, if you were to stack them all and count them. Okay, there's probably 30 to 32, 35 maybe, I don't know, somewhere right there, 30 to 35 range of, and it is just wide enough to be a hand, you know, a normal hand would hold this quite nicely. So, and I get to do this on the bed because my wife's not here. All right, so I'm going to take my little G'd up vice clamp, you know, and borrowed this from the front. They're cool people. We're actually staying at a hotel with some very nice people right now because, like I said, me and my family are struggling. right now. And I'm trying to get something started today. We'll see what happens. Maybe you guys will like me and follow me, and it'll set me off, and I'll be a YouTube superstar or something. Yeah, who knows? Never. I can accept failure, but I can't accept not trying at all. So here's my first effort at being famous. Alright, just a quick run over my messy abode. Alright, you can see this is my mess, and it's the reason why I'm so stressed out, because I have all these great things to be applying, and I'm not applying them. So I'm hoping that my hobby, which is what I do after work, which I can't seem to find good work right now, is making knives. And we're going to see if maybe my hobby can help pay for our hard times. Thank you guys for watching. And there is the setup. Okay. And I will continue tomorrow once I have the handle out of the vise and have an idea of how I'm going to shape the blade for it. Then we'll go through the entire process of me making this knife. This is the sheath. Now, if you can look at it real quick, and look, you can see how dark some of that leather is. That's the color of the boot originally, the hinge, you see. And then that's the epoxy soaking into it, so it gets really dark with the epoxy. So, but it looks really cool. It almost looks like an old, tattered, burned effect, you know, right off the muscle. Very cool, very rustic application in every form. Now what I'll do is I'll take a drill bit and I'll drill along where the seam line will be, because I took a piece of leather and put it in between on the edges only to make it thicker there. I used fiberglass that you would use to replace any broken car parts or stuff, like with Bondo, you know. I used a fiberglass sheet inside that cut to the exact same measurements as the sheath. And then I set the epoxy with it. So it's a very hardened piece. This piece right here will not come apart. All right, and I'll show you that process. I'm already past that stage right now, but I'm sure you'll see it in one of my later videos.